Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next panel that I'm very excited to be moderating. This one is entitled Facilitating Fan Movement Through Computer Vision and Facial Recognition. So we have three true experts in this space. It's a very technical but important topic that relates to venue tech and movement of fans through venues. And so I'm excited to bring on Sanjay Manantar, CEO of Wicket, Zach Klima, founder and CEO of Wait Time, and Tony Albanese, Chief Revenue Officer at Park Hub. Between the three of you guys, we're really well rounded today, and I'm excited to dive in. We have 35 minutes. I'll do my best to navigate us and make the most of our time. To our audience, use the question features, and we'll do our best to get to your questions during the middle of the conversation. Don't wait till the end. We can create a pretty dynamic discussion here. So Sanjay, Zach, Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're all doing really well today. First question I have for you three is, can you just kind of provide an overview of your roles and technologies and what is top of mind for your business right now? I think that'll be a good table setter for us. And Zach, if you wouldn't mind batting leadoff, go for it. And to the audience, each of these three gentlemen has a visual they'll also be presenting. So Zach, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. Everyone, my name is Zach Klima. I'm the founder of Wait Time. And at Wait Time, we've developed, for the past 7 years now, we've developed the world-leading crowd management platform. And so, what does that mean? So, we've developed a set of algorithms, starting 7 years ago, in which we've added on to along the way here as we saw the needs of the market, and obviously coming out from the pandemic, crowd management has really risen from really on one side of the equation, a nice to have, and into a need to have at this exact point in time. So, we've been working. For us, it's really about partnerships. So we've been working with a lot of ecosystem partners in the industry, and one thing led to another. And just in January, we were announced as Cisco's go-to crowd management solution globally. So, everyone talks about artificial intelligence and computer vision. And I want to actually push some visuals behind that so you can actually see what that means and see how we're doing this. So if you look at the screen here, these are our four algorithms. So if you think of concession lines, restroom lines, retail lines, all across your stadium or arena, knowing what people are doing, where people are, is really at the utmost importance at this point in time. It was before, so we thought we addressed this white elephant in the room. But as time went on and COVID-19 unfolded, it's really at an all-time high in terms of crowd management and crowd intelligence. So I just want to briefly walk through what these look like and what these mean. So what we have is the first algorithm. It's called queuing. It's on the upper left-hand corner, and that's for concession lines and restroom lines, where if you see our artificial intelligence, our computer vision, patented computer vision, we are monitoring anonymously the movement analysis of people every 25th of a second. So we don't look at Bluetooth, cell phones, or Wi-Fi. We look at the actual human body, the head, the shoulders, the arms, and we're tracking them down to the inches per second anonymously. So we have our queuing algorithm that you see here in the upper left-hand corner. And if you actually go right across the street to where you see all those people, that's actually at the Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia, one of the biggest stadiums in the world. With this is their gate entryway, obviously before COVID. It's about 970 people in line. So if you work your way down, what we have is actually a new algorithm called our entry exit algorithm, where we are monitoring how many people are entering and exiting a space in real time. So if you think of bars, you think of clubs, you think of these different areas inside your stadium or arena that real-time capacity and occupancy is of the utmost concern. This is something that we added on during COVID. So real-time occupancy with a very high degree, right around 97% accuracy, is our second algorithm there. Now the last two, just in a quick fashion, we have our stanchion software, which is in the lower left-hand corner. So when you have more of a structure to your line, which we see a lot of venues are going to now post-pandemic, more of a structure to the line, we have an algorithm that monitors that structured line very accurately. And then last but not least, we have our massing algorithm, where we are actually monitoring the density of a given area. So from a 0% capacity filled to 100% capacity filled in real time. And so really not the pivot, but really the addition that we saw during COVID was reporting on these conditions. So with our software, everyone said, okay, Zach, this is great data. What are we supposed to do with it? And so what you're able to do now, especially from post-pandemic, is if it hits a certain number of people in line, if it hits a certain capacity or density in certain areas, that can be auto-triggered to communicate with your operations staff in real time based off of crowd conditions. So at Menchie's, section 107, if it hits 30 people in line, that can notify your operational staff automatically in real time. So being proactive as opposed to being reactive is really a shift that we saw from an operations side. And really the white elephant is coming to the forefront now of you need to know where your fans are and what they're doing, because that really impacts revenue strategies moving forward. And so this is really on the operations side. But if you actually go to the next slide, what we have, everyone knows wait time from where are the shortest lines, right? And obviously that's a really great elevated guest experience platform. But what we see here with wait time is there is revenue attached to this in terms of sponsorship and advertising, which has really helped to evidence itself throughout the pandemic. So throughout the pandemic, a lot of these big brands and sponsors said, okay, we like what wait time is providing in terms of not just the operational experience, but the guest experience, because fans need to know how to safely navigate crowds and avoid crowds in real time. So what we have here is what you see on the screen. This is net new advertising. We created our own category of sponsorship when it comes to the wait time system. So at certain areas throughout your venue, you'll have these boards that point the fans in the path of least resistance to the shortest lines, but also coupled in with net new advertising. So our system now, which is a nice evolution throughout COVID, our system now has become a net new revenue generator when it comes to both the operational side of the equation and the fan side. And so what's really important in terms of the fan journey, Taylor, that you always talk about is these things, operations and guest experience, cannot sit in silos anymore, because there's too much it was all just too much disjointed, for lack of a better phrase, before, where the operations side wasn't really talking to the guest experience side. So what wait time has done really well throughout the pandemic and even before the pandemic is to really merge the two, so they work in lockstep with each other, because operations affects guest experience and guest experience affects operations. Yeah. So having those two mesh together really successfully makes for really the best in class crowd management solution globally, which is what we're doing here at Wait Time.
Thanks for that overview, Zach. Great visuals. Appreciate it. Sanjay, same cue to you. Love an overview of Wicket and setting the tone for the audience here today.
Great to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Sanjay Manda, CEO of Wicket. We've been doing computer vision and AI for a few years now, but what we found is that facial authentication is finding a very, very good sweet spot in sports. And normally shocks like the pandemic is awful, has been awful for a lot, and sometimes the shocks do have a silver lining. And what we found is that in summer of 2020, the Cleveland Browns said, hey, you guys have been talking about facial ticketing for a while. Now the Ohio governor said 20% of your fans can come into the stadium, but they need to have their masks on. And of course, fans did not want to touch anything in summer of 2020 and even today. So it started off with the Browns looking to do a quick pilot of facial ticketing. Of course, like a lot of the NFL teams, the Browns have Ticketmaster as the ticketing platform. We integrated into that ticketing platform. And so the Browns tried this out. It was meant to be a not paid pilot the first few games, but the first hour of the first game, they realized, oh, holy smokes, this actually works. Mm-hmm. So ended up becoming a paid economics for us for all 8 home games. And the good thing is that what we're doing here is making sure our algorithms for computer vision is resilient in all sorts of difficult environments. And there isn't a more difficult environment than a ticketing situation, say between 4 and 6 p.m. when the lighting has changed, right? When there are a lot of crowds and you cannot make a single mistake. And oh, by the way, the crowds don't just come as they register. This is all by opt-in, of course. So they will have registered prior to coming to the game, or while they're waiting in line, they can just opt in and provide the selfie. How they opted in, that one image is going to be completely different from how they show up. They'll show up with hats, glasses, masks, of course, and we still need to get it right. Our record of false positive, letting the wrong person in, is 0. If you have too many things all around your head, there's a little bit of false negative, and we'll have the visual say, "Could you please remove your hat?" Now people seem to be conditioned. They remove the hat while as they get into the line. Of course, the Haslam Sports Group also owns MLS team Columbus Crew, and because of the success of the Browns season 2020, we got designed into their brand new stadium that got built or opened this spring. And of course, the second season for the Browns started this year, and it is always a beautiful thing to see adoption rates by the fans. Last year it was, what is this? And trying to figure out what facial ticketing is. A lot of the season ticket holders were allowed to opt in and get in. That was 2020. This year it's opened up to everybody, and the hockey stick chart is very easy to see. Starting the last week of August, the fans have completely adopted this way of going through. We all been to ball games, and one of the biggest friction point and source of frustration is that line, and it has to also be fast, right? So typically it's close to a minute of transaction time per fan, and that's why the line grows. The queue becomes 100 deep. Ours is about 300 milliseconds without mass and about 600 milliseconds with mass, which basically means you can run through the gate and we'll still know who you are. So, with that, as a contrast, what you will see is that whenever the Brown says express lane, there's nobody in line. And then where people are doing this traditionally, facial ticketing, there's usually a huge line. And, we think this is how it's going to be. You're not only going to go through, ticketing situation, but even your office building, your, various places, your car, you're going to open with your face. We always say, the younger demographics already knows this. They say, what's wrong with your face, right? So if your face is there, you can't leave home without it. But if it's a key card, your ticket, you might leave it at home or you might give it to someone. And that's a huge security problem for heads of security, heads of facilities, but it's also for the teams and others. They don't know who's actually in the seat. They'd like to know the actual individual. So, facial ticketing solves that problem, and also because it's opt-in, it actually is totally up to the fan. The fan can say, I want to just go along as I've been, but when they get to the ballpark and see how long the line is, many fans, and we've seen this, say they catch some of the stadium off speed and say, how do I opt in for that? There's no line over there. So if you could queue up that video, you will see the contrast at the Browns game. So you'll see, fraction of a second, big line, traditional side on the left side, and no lines where facial ticketing happens. And as this happens, as you can imagine, a lot of the teams want to do this now. A lot of the fans want to do this. And maybe you put up that image as well, just one of the champions, from the Browns, and you'll see in the top right, the fans are there with their masks on, and one gentleman even has his dark glasses on, and we still need to get it right. And the bottom one only just shows what it looks like and what the visuals are. There's two sets of cameras on that iPad. Of course, we're camera and compute agnostic. We're all about the product and the algorithms. And what we do, however, is integrate into adjacent ecosystem like ticketing or locking mechanism. So for a team, all they have to say is, we use Ticketmaster today, or if MLB, we use Tickets.com today. We're already integrated into those ticketing platforms. And of course, we'll integrate with we'll have a workflow that will work up with your marketing team so that your fans get a link from your marketing, which that link actually will come from us and will allow the fan to go through the workflow to upload a good image of them. So after that, we say, hey, enjoy the game. Next time you're there, you don't need to stand in the traditional line. Go to the express line, and you don't even need your phone. You don't need your QR code. You just go to the facial ticketing line, and you're all good. So this is Brandon Covert, turned out to be an amazing champion for us. He says, we've never seen something go, the lines clear so quickly. And of course, people like that are passing the message to other leagues. We also did an MLB, pilot with the Mets, and they said, "Oh my gosh, this is great." So we'll see what's going to happen in the off season, but we think we'll be signing up quite a few, coming up here soon. Thank you all.
Another great overview. Thank you, Sanjay. That sets the table well. Tony, I'll hand it over to you. Love an overview on Park Hub, kind of where you guys are at also with your roadmap as well.
Right. Thanks, Taylor and Sanjay and Zach. Those were really excellent use cases for using computer vision, facial recognition technology for authenticating, for tracking people, occupancy, et cetera. So at Park Hub, we're laser focused on that first touch point with the fan, with the guest, which is largely parking, and the last touch point is also parking. So it's a small thing that's a big thing, and we're really honed in on, and to Sanjay's point, how fast can we get people in, and recognizing who that person is definitely something that we are kind of locking into. Zach's been in my office not too terribly long ago, or we're talking about how do we recognize vehicles and people outside of the venue as well as inside of the venue. We're focused on how can we get that fan to purchase parking ahead of time so that they have a reservation to park, and then we can how can we recognize that person when they show up on site, either recognize them, and it's about facial recognition maybe, but also I'm gonna take it into vehicle recognition. So in our product roadmap, we're experimenting right now with vehicle recognition. So can we identify this person has pre-purchase parking, and now we can recognize them and or their vehicle as they show up and create those fast lanes. To your point, Sanjay, we're playing around with these kind of express lane type models, where we can either use license plate recognition, vehicle recognition, or facial recognition to authenticate that this person has actually pre-purchased parking. They have a right to access this particular area, and do that in real time and create sort of a free flow in to the parking area. So we get rid of those queues, lining up outside of the parking lot. And I'm going to show like an experience we've worked on now with Yinscam, who provides the fan-facing application for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'll do a little quick screen share. And if you can pop up my screen there.
There we go.
Great. So in terms of the parking experience, right? So if we can, if we can recognize the vehicle, recognize the guest, but we need to have them actually buy that parking ahead of time. And for, season ticket holders, premium ticket holders, generally speaking, that comes with a package where they're, getting parking as part of their ticket package. But for the, 70% of fans that are not, don't have a package that includes parking, how do we get them to actually purchase parking ahead of time? Because in order to make the fastest, sort of best experience, we need those people to actually buy their parking ahead of time. So we worked with the Penguins on this, where we actually feed real-time parking data into the app. So if you're a fan and you go to your game day section of your app, you'll see there's a purchase parking portion here. So if you click on the purchase parking and then choose the game you're going to, you'll see the available parking show up. So this is actually real-time live data about current inventory levels in the parking lots. So you can see where the parking is available. You can touch it, and then you can go in and book your parking, right from the app. Just select the card. This is actually real. I just bought a parking pass for this particular game, and now when I show up, I have a pass, and kind of where facial and vehicle recognition tech comes into play here is, we're looking at, let's just recognize the vehicle when it comes in. Let's recognize the person when they come in very, very quickly using our mobile point of sale technology, which actually has a camera built into it. So we can do that, in real time, less than a couple of 100 milliseconds, and get that person into the parking lot and let them get into the game, quickly, easily. But it's all about that integration between the ticketing platform, which in this case is Ticketmaster, our system, and then we sort of display that in real time to the operations folks. And you can see my screen. This is actually live data right now. So this is everything. We have about 600,000 parking spots that we're currently managing, and you can see about 4,000 of them are actually occupied. It's early, in the day, so that's not surprising. So displaying to Zach's point about wait time, right? It's great to gather data. What do you do with it? So you can imagine in your venue, your arena, your stadium, seeing how many people have parked, where they've parked. You can see lot fill rates here on the bottom, giving that data to your operations team so that they can understand the movement of crowds. Where are we filling up? That affects which gates are going to get hit, which doors are going to get hit, et cetera, in real time, surfacing that data. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it. I'll stop sharing so you can see my pretty face again. We're thinking about how can we use computer vision, and real time data feeds to minimize the amount of time it takes to get your vehicle parked, minimize the amount of time it takes to get that fan up to the gate, and then Sanjay and Zach can take over and make that a quick and easy experience to get in the venue, and then also to do all the things you want to do once you're in the game. Buy a beer, buy a t-shirt, go to the bathroom. So.
I love it, Tony. That's a perfect segue. Like I said at the beginning of this, I'm excited to have the three of you because exactly what Tony you just said, from parking to getting into the stadium to movement within the stadium. I mean, the three of you are pretty much the whole ecosystem. And so, next question I'd like to bring to the three of you, Zach. We can go back to you at the top of our order here. You barely touched on it a little bit in terms of new fan movement trends and expectations that maybe were originated during COVID and now they're kind of an expectation. But I'm curious, what are trends you've seen with fan movements that are top of mind for you that maybe you guys have had to adjust to or adapt to in any way?
Yeah, so it's really, what the evolution of what we saw from the pandemic to post-pandemic is it's really taking that next step, because we had the algorithms in place, and it's really about the different applications of different locations as well. So it's not just restrooms and concessions, which is the obviously with concessions being the main revenue generator. It's really about different areas like stairways, stairwells, entry gates to the stadium. Which really touches on Tony and Sanjay and your business as well. Is okay. It's the fan experience when they leave their home. They know what parking lot to go to. They know what gate to go to, and for the quickest, most frictionless experience. So for us to answer your question, Taylor, it's really the application of our three before COVID, our regular algorithms before COVID, but just placed in different areas. So what are the void spaces in between? Plazas, for example, monitoring the occupancy of plazas, stairwells, so people and operations can have a complete look on their performance. That you have these four walls, or I guess an oval, right? And basically what happens in those four walls in terms of efficiency. That's really about applying our algorithms to different areas that we never thought before. And then in conjunction with that would be our entry exit algorithm is really key to moving forward in terms of the return of sports and live events and large facilities, because people have to know occupancy of different areas. They have to know how many people are in certain areas, not just because it's a nice to know, but a lot of these different venues that we work with, they get audited by the government. They have to prove through data that they're abiding by these different rules of reduced occupancy. So they actually rely on our technology from a measurement standpoint to with governing authorities that would be auditing them on, okay, you're open now. How are you ensuring that you're staying open safely? And a lot of that has to do with the operational side of our business, with our data in terms of that application. Yep. So long-winded answer, but that's a really big, kind of where we're at right now.
Thanks, Zach. Sanjay, same question to you. Trends you've identified, in the last 18 or so months that you've had to adapt to in terms of fan movement?
Yeah, so fancy word for what's around your face, occlusion, right? So a big occlusion that we had to contend with was called a mask that removes about 50% of the landmarks on your face. But we tuned the algorithms so that we're still, accurate with the face masks on. Whether the face masks stay or we all do away with as the pandemic recedes, we have that, and the fans seem to, whether they have the mask on or not, we're fine with it. That's number one. But number two, what we've found is that the fans love the facial ticketing aspect. But if they have to go to, let's say, as a VIP, go to their box, the suite, VIP suite, or they have to buy drinks or whatever. Now they also have to provide traditional way of authentication, right? You have to come up with pull out your driver's license, credit card, and all. So we're starting to do a lot more facial payment type integrations. We don't process the payment, of course, but we tell the payment system, this is Taylor Bloom. And if you're part of the loyalty program, we already know your DOB. So we don't need to do the, age verification. We know that maybe you've given an okay up to $25, not even put a PIN key to authenticate your purchase. So if you think about that, now there's going to be less, waiting even at the concession stands, right? So, we're talking about all the friction points. At the entrance is the ticketing. Now, when you're going to buy your drinks and your, hot dog, that queue is also going to be extremely, shortened, because three of the things you have that takes up a lot of time: checking, verifying the age, making the, actual payment transaction, both go away. All you have to now do is just pick up the drinks and go. Mm-hmm. So that makes the fan experience amazing. And it also helps the concessionaire, because now the transactions are much faster and they make a lot more revenue that way. So that is where we're headed. And, we did have, we have a few other products. The one I mentioned is called Access with ticketing, Access with payment. The other products are, density for social distance compliance and for presence detection, but also audience. Audience product says not only how many people there are, but of those, how many are men versus women, approximate age group, and where they're looking. And of course, if you're a sponsor, you care about things like that. So these are now the holistic portfolio of products that we have that we're bringing to the market. And people like the Browns and the crew use all access, density, and audience all at once simultaneously. Our goal is, to have frictionless, experience for the fans. And one of the other frictions, right after Tony's, application takes care of the parking, is are you a threat, right? Do you have weapons on you? And so we don't do that. We have a partner locally here in Massachusetts called Evolve, and it's a pipeline process, right? So first you go through Evolve gates, and then you go through our facial ticketing. So we think as those friction points get relieved, now the real reason why you came, the entertainment, becomes closer and closer to 100% of your time. It's not going to be 50% entertainment, 50% all these friction.
Right.
It's going to be 99.9% you're having fun.
Yep. Well said. Tony, over to you. Same question from your guys' perspective.
Yeah, and just in the chat saw another question about how creepy is kind of this technology, and so I'd say pandemic. What are we seeing trend wise? First of all, there's about 30% more vehicles entering the parking lot than pre-pandemic. People are not taking ride sharing; they're not taking public transportation in the levels that they used to. So the parking lot is becoming a choke point. Just because of sheer volume of vehicles, right? So that kind of goes to the, how things we're doing to try to, create these fast lanes. All laser focused on what Sanjay just pointed out. How do we maximize the fans' enjoyment of the entertainment experience, minimize all the other friction points, right? And we've found that when these technologies are deployed, whether it's facial recognition, whether it's using your mobile device to pay for things because you allowed tracking of your location and we know exactly where you are. If there is a positive benefit, people will opt into that experience. It's not creepy when it's fast, and for the small percentage of people that, hey, I don't want to use the facial recognition. I don't want to opt into that. That's their choice, and as long as you give people a choice, then they feel like they're not, you're not doing something invasive. But once they've experienced the speed and efficiency that goes along with it, and as long as you're honest with them about how you're using that information, we found that people, are very willing to trade. Hey, a little bit of my privacy, track my location because I'm using Uber. Yeah, give my Uber driver my precise location so they know where to pick me up. Right? Give my favorite sports team access to the image of my my face because that's going to get me in the stadium faster. I can now buy a beer without pulling my wallet or my phone out of my pocket. Like that, I'm very willing to make that trade off as long as the team, the venue, etc., is honest with me about what they're doing with that information. And I have that level of trust. So I'd say in terms of trends, from what we're seeing, and we're laser focused on parking, its volume is up, and everyone wants to just get in faster. So the more we can do to assist with that, people are very willing to opt into those kind of experiences.
Thanks, Tony. And guys, we have about a minute left. This flew by. I appreciate the insights from all of you. I did want to get to this question that Tony just referenced. Tony, you answered it, but Zach, Sanjay, I'd love for each of you to jump into it. And I think it's apropos. This question is from Anonymous, and they're asking about how do you not be so Big Brother is so creepy. And Zach, you touched on your intro a little bit, but maybe like Zach, Sanjay, 30 seconds from each of you on this, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Do
you want to
start?
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
First, Zach.
Yeah, I'll start. So with the way that we track is, and we get this question all the time, Big Brother, etc. So we once someone is properly educated on our system, they will know that we anonymize all of our data. We don't look at faces. We don't look at any unique features. It's not object recognition, color recognition, or anything like that. It's you're an X or you're a Y. So it's completely anonymized. And so that's the way that we deal with that, is the anonymity factor, is the fact that we process and cache. So we don't have any stored data on anything.
Cool. Thanks, Zach. Sanjay?
Yeah, and similarly for Access product, it's all by opt-in. And like Tony said, you don't have to do this. You can stand that other line, right? And the convenience is so high that people are just opting in. We're seeing this in the take-up data. And for all of us, it is important to make sure that you use the data for the purpose that the patron, the fan, allowed you to use. I mean, I'll give you a quick example of the transponders, right? I was a laggard in terms of putting a transponder in my car because I thought, well, I'm a little bit heavy on the gas pedal, right? So a ticket could show up at my home anytime because they can tell, right, how fast I was going. But when I realized, oh, tickets didn't show up, I can actually go much faster, with this other lane. And in Massachusetts, at least, these transponders started happening about year 2000, 2001, 2016, all the toll booths are gone. So we see a shift like that happening, and I feel we're in the first or second year of going fast because of your face. So your face is your ticket, your face is your access, and this is a behavioral shift that's happening, and it's part of a very, very large trend.
All that connection to the driving, Sanjay, and the transponders on the toll roads. I like that. Sanjay, Zach, Tony, thank you so much for your time. Our time flew by today, but again, the three of you, you cover the whole kind of fan journey here at the ballpark or the venue, and I really appreciate your time in joining us and really rounding out this conversation. To our attendees, real quick, so the four of us are going to do our best to jump into the networking sections, and you'll have that chance to touch base with us and these three wonderful speakers here. And then next up, we have two workshops. One is venue reopening strategies. Self-service does not mean no service. That's powered by Alvarado. And the second workshop is modern technologies to streamline the guest experience and increase revenue in 2022 and beyond. So you have a choice coming up, one of those workshops. To everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Sanjay, Zach, Tony, thanks again, guys. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Taylor. It was great.
Thank you, Dale. Bye-bye.